The Kangaroos could be without 5 of their primary 6 defenders from last season. Key defender Robbie Tarrant has a sore shoulder, Jamie Macmillan has a calf problem, Scott Thompson is suspended, Majak Daw's future remains unclear, and now Williams could be sidelined. The Roos, at times, struggled for composure in their defensive 50 in a 21-point loss to the Power. Ben McKay was guilty of poor kick-ins, with the Kangaroos keen to opt for short passes despite the new rules promoting deep kicks into the middle of the ground. Luke McDonald, a former defender, has gone forward this year, so Scott may have to look at having recruit Aaron Hall or veteran Sean Higgins spend time at halfback to help provide cohesion. Ed Vickers-Willis' 2018 campaign ended when he crashed into a goalpost, but he moved well against the Power, completed a courageous mark running with the flight of the ball late in the second term, and the Roos will hope he can be an important cog. Heat of the battle, Jack Watts. Credit. Ruckman Todd Goldstein was rested, but he will need to help out in defensive 50 against the Dockers, particularly if Tarrant does not return. The Power also had concerns when ruckman Paddy Ryder and midfielder Robbie Gray collided while chasing loose ball. Power coach Ken Hinkley later confirmed Ryder had a fractured cheekbone but should be fine to play in round 1 in a fortnight. He's okay, which is pretty good. He's got a high, little depression up on his cheekbone. They're quite simple, Hinkley said. Sounds a bit cold, but they'll just flick that out. And I'd say, realistically, he's the more than good chance to play round 1. Ryder had required assistance as he left the field. New generation draftee Bailey Scott, Trent Dumont, Luke Davies-Uniacke and the emerging Paul Ahern are part of the new breed the Kangaroos need if they are to take the next step. Scott, the son of Robert, a former Cat and Kangaroo, knows how to find the ball and appears set to debut in round 1. He was superb in the first half, in terms of taking the right option more often than not and then executing. He was also used across half-back in the second half but finished with 2 goals. Ahern, the former Giant who began to make an impression after injury with the Roos last year, had 3 goals from 10 touches in the first term. The first goal was from a set shot, the second after he intercepted a handball, and another when Jack Zebel had pushed the ball forward, allowing Ahern to scoop it up and convert. He is fit and set to be a handful through the middle and across half forward. What Scott won't be happy about is that the Roos had only 24 tackles. Powering on Travis Spoke, having relinquished the Power captaincy, appears set to predominantly be used as a midfielder, having spent significant time at half-forward last year. That move didn't quite work as well as hoped, and Boak is back to where he made his name. Brad Ebert, who has filled several roles, has played as a deep forward through the practice matches where his big body will be handy. Tom Rockliff was dominant with 42 touches. The Power still seem to not know where Jack Watts should play, having used him at halfback last week and on a wing against the Kangaroos. Meanwhile, vice-captain Hamish Hartlett, who tore his ACL at training in April last year, hopes to return via the SANFL next weekend. Hall's way. There were fears Hall had seriously hurt his anterior cruciate ligament against St Kilda last week, but there were no signs of the injury on Saturday. The knee was taped but he was smooth, converting a running goal from about 45 metres in the first term. It was some week for the former Sun, for he also had dealt with diarrhea and conjunctivitis. Welcome back. Jarrad Palek, sans mouth guard, drilled a slick long goal from the boundary, heaping more frustration on Power supporters who did not want him to leave. While the almost carnival atmosphere of a practice match differs greatly to the season proper, Pelech showed he will be able to handle anything that comes his way come an initial return to Adelaide Oval in round 6. Confusing call. Shaun Higgins wasn't the only Kangaroo baffled when he conceded back-to-back 50 metres penalties to Darcy Byrne-Jones. The first call was easy. Higgins had arrived at the marking contest late and knocked the power youngster over. But that penalty was doubled when Byrne-Jones got up and ran towards the new mark, and Higgins followed but quickly trailed the power player. As he trailed Byrne-Jones, he was deemed to have fallen into the 10 metres exclusion zone, meaning a second 50 metres penalty was imposed. Justin Westhoff found himself in a similar predicament in the final term, gifting a 100 metres penalty and goal to Tom Campbell. Sound confusing? It is. What's next? Bring on round 1. The Power travelled to Melbourne to face the Demons at the MCG on a Saturday afternoon. The Kangaroos begin with a road trip to Perth to face the Dockers in the final game of the round. JLT Community Series, Round 2. Port Adelaide 19.9, 123, North Melbourne 16.6, 102, goals, Port Adelaide, Butters 3, R. Gray 2, Lysette 2, Rockcliffe 2, Byrne-Jones 2, Westhoff 2, Boak, Watts, Amon, Motlop, Marshall, Powell Pepper. North Melbourne, Ahern 3, Turner 2, Scott 2, Higgins 2, Zebel 2, Campbell, Hall, Brown, Polkvist, Port Adelaide, Rockcliffe, Boak, Lysette, Bonner, Duers, Manor, Melbourne, Higgins, Ahern, Scott, Pelech, Higgins, Hall.